Hello and welcome to another Blue Box series at gaatech.com. Well, if you recognise what this is, I think everyone who's into mini quad racing would know it's the 250 ZMR frame or top and Mobius plate. And this is my Mobius. They're not expensive, but no one likes to lose them. And when we're all FPV racing or FPV flying and you have an accident, it's quite often that the Mobius will eject itself from the standard mount, and I'm choosing to demonstrate this on the ZMR250. So I got my thinking cap on and thought, well, how can I save my Mobius from ejecting from the frame? And I've come up with the blue box. Before I continue, I know someone's going to ask, why have I got a silver cap? Well, I put sticky silver foil on the cap because every time I was taking it off, I'd put it down and lose it. If you put it in your transmitter box with black foam, you would not be able to see it. So I've covered it in silver foil, so when I take it off I can easily find it and put it back. Alright, that does that one. So before we get on to the blue box series, I thought I'd just show you very quickly how many iterations I go through to get to where I end up. And with any design, whether we all do it on CAD, whenever you have something in your hand, the design will change. So I have another blue box which is full of different versions of the mount that I've ended up with. So I started off with a very simple replacement mount. This wasn't for the ZMR250, but I thought, well, I'm just going to make a mount, put some better straps on it, put a retaining clip on it here so I can clip this onto the frame. So if obviously this bit wouldn't be there, say we had that on there, we could tie my mount onto the frame, so if the whole thing ejected, it would be tethered onto the frame. And I thought, yeah, that'll work, but it's not really good enough. It's pretty basic, and and obviously the angle of the mount there gives you a better focus of the ground when you're flying at an angle because you're tipping forward when you're flying. So I rejected that one, and then I went through many others here. Here I was playing with, could I print the mount upside down, and would it bridge the gaps for the spacers, which it did. So that did that test. And then I thought about, well, the other problem when you're flying with the FPV is if you have an accident, going back to the standard mount, the Mobius is mounted like that, and you can see the lens is stuck out the front and there's no protection. So I thought, right, I need to be able to protect the lens. So then I started looking at something like that. So having a wedge and having something in front, so if you had a head-on impact, there's a lower chance of your Mobius lens getting smashed. So that all looked great and dandy, but it looked pretty basic. So, and the other thing, going back to this one, the other thing was it was fairly difficult to put your lens cap on. I couldn't do it. So then I thought, right, the other reason why the Mobius will eject is most people use Velcro. Now, there's nothing wrong with Velcro, and they would strap that through the holes and round, and the Mobius would be held onto the mount. Nothing wrong with that, but it's all fairly slippery. So I thought, right, what I'm going to do, I'm going to eject that one, and I'm going to put some bumper stops. You can just see here that I've got a front ridge and a rear ridge, and that then allowed the Mobius to, it did two things really. When I was putting the Mobius onto the mount, if you go back to the mount with where's the mount gone? You go back to the mount with nothing, it's fairly slippery. You put your Mobius on, you're trying to put the Velcro on, and it's very difficult. So I thought, well, I'm going to put some stops back and front, so when you're trying to tie your Mobius onto your mount, that it's not going to fall off. So that was another iteration, and I was playing with a curvature at the front to make sure the Mobius wide angle wouldn't see the lens. So that was that one, and then I was concentrating on, these are just different versions of the mount. This had square corners, as you can see, so that went, and I then started having round corners, so it all looked a bit, you know, made to measure type of thing. On the front lens here, I sculpted out the front so you could get your lens cap on nicely. And then I thought, right, we've actually got to make sure it fits on the standard mount. So I'm just going to take these off very quickly, and they do come off fairly easy. So I wanted this mount to be as versatile as possible. Let's just get rid of all these now. These are just different iterations, playing with shrinkage sizes when they're 3D printed, just fine-tuning the design. So they're all going back in the bin. This one here, you can see it's got wings on the outside. Here I was thinking about putting the Mobius on and using an elastic band, which I really like using elastic bands to fasten things on. Oh, turn the Mobius off. But I wasn't happy. I was thinking, well, I'm using the elastic band here, and it's not really working hard to protect the Mobius from moving. The Mobius is still a little bit loose, but I felt it was a far better solution than using a Velcro strap. So that's why the external Velcro holders disappeared. So, you know, that's when I was using the Velcro to go around. The Velcro is around the back of the camera here, so it missed all the buttons, but I just wasn't happy. So that's when the wing idea came on, and I thought, no, I can still do better with that. So then, going back to one of these, I thought, right, yes, the elastic band needs to go back to front. So here, when you put your Mobius on, you can put your elastic band around, give it one twist, and hook it. So now what's happening here is the elastic band is working harder for you. It's stopping the backwards and forwards movement, and the upstands around the side are stopping any sideways movement. So there's far less chance of the Mobius being ejected, and it was super easy to install. A nice tight fit, and I was getting fairly happy with that. So other things that I wanted to do with this mount is make it universal. Some machines which are well set up, you don't really need to use the bobbins. Other machines, when you're setting up and you're flying and you're getting vibration, you may be using the bobbins. So this mount allows you to either use the bobbins that come with the ZMR250. So you can put the bobbins in the holes, and then this mount, that the bobbins will go in. So you can have the mount on the bobbins on your ZMR250, which is great. Now, if you don't want to use the bobbins, you don't need to, because all the holes line up. So the bobbin holes line up, and the slots here and here line up. So if you want to hard mount them, you could use something like Velcro if you wanted to. So you could put your Velcro up the hole through these holes, back down. Then you would obviously trim the Velcro to suit. And then your mount is rigidly fixed to your ZMR250. So I thought, great. People can use it with bobbins and without bobbins, and all they need to use is a little bit of Velcro or cable ties, and they can hard fix the mount onto the frame. And you'll notice that where the Velcro goes, there is a recess for the Velcro or cable ties to sit in, so when your Mobius is on top it doesn't interfere. So then I thought about, great, now I need to make sure that if you're using the bobbins or no bobbins, that you can tether the mount to the mount to the top plate and the Mobius to the plate, the mount or the plate. So around the outsides you've got one here, you've got one on the front which is a triangle, you've got one here, and what they allow you to do is, let me just go and get a cable tie. I'm demonstrating with cable ties, but you can use anything. You can push a cable tie through the hole, make a loop and fasten, make a loop, and then you can fasten it to something, or you can make some quick release mechanism that can be pushed through the holes, a piece of fishing cord. So this one is designed that when you're hard mounting, you can use the front one here which goes through the mount, so then you can tie the mount to something. This one on the side also allows you to use a cable tie when it's hard mounted, because it loops through the side. And when you're using the bobbins, there's one here which allows you to go top to bottom. Now obviously when the bobbins are on, there is a distance that the whatever you're using to secure comes out between the bobbins and the plate of your aircraft. So that's quite universal. So the other thing I had to think about was how to retain the rubber band at the front. So at the front here there is a recess where when you're looping the rubber band on, it sits in there so it can't slip off. So that's it. So that was where I was going. And also the rear rubber band securing mechanism also allows you to, if you're using no rubber bobbins, it's easy for the rubber band, I'm doing this wrong-handed, to slip underneath, and then it will loop up and round. So it's totally universal, this mount. If you're using bobbins it will work, if you're not using bobbins it will work. And this mount, it will work for any mount which centre to centre spacings I don't remember from the design, but they're about 29mm by, oh, that's going to be about 23mm. So anything around there, with a hole size of, well, they're about 6mm, 5.9, will work. Strange enough, going back to quality control, I know we all joke about imported stuff, but you can see here that I've got one hole at 5.92 and this one's massive. This is 6.9, so let me just 6.9 there. So that's just poor quality control, and we see this so often with imported models. So obviously that the bobbin will still fit through this, but it'll be fairly loose. But the ones on the top plate are actually all the same size. So that's just the Chinese quality control. Right, so let me get back to the final iteration of my mount, and this is how it comes straight off the printer. This one came off the printer this morning. So for all you 3D printing fans out there, I've left it as it came off the printer. Now this is not PLA material. PLA I only use for drafting products. PLA is affected by temperature, bright sunlight, etc. So if you were to buy any product printed in PLA and say left it in your car, Now in the UK it doesn't matter so much because we don't have a very good summer, but you guys around the world, say in America, Florida, etc., you have some nice warm weather, and if you leave PLA in your car, it is going to warp and deform. This is printed in a material called ColorFab XT, which is a cross between PLA and ABS, and it's much better when it comes to temperature. However, as you can see from here, it does leave stringing on the print, but and this is support material, which we'll cover in a minute, but you can see you get strings and small cobwebs form. If you look inside the holes very closely, you can see there's fibres, and it's these fibres which give the material extra strength, but when you're printing, no matter how hard you try, you do get stringing. So I thought I'll leave it intact and just show you on camera how quick it is to clean up. So first of all, I always try to make my designs work without printing support material, because support material is a waste, and if you can design it without support material, you get a better print. But I was unable to design this because the angles that I was using, so I had to use some support material here, and all that is a lightweight structure the 3D printer prints to enable to support the overhang, which is this part coming across here, so it prints better and it doesn't droop. So we're just going to now start to clean up the print, so the support material just snaps off like that. That's that one, and there's one on the back which you can just about see, and just with your finger now that snaps off. Now all the other ones, I'm just going to quickly use my finger now to rub over this print. And that's it, virtually done. So we got a little bit more stringing, so all I'm going to do is get a craft knife and just work myself around the model. I'm not using any pressure at all really, just light touch, little bit across the back here where the rubber band sits, that's where the support material was touching, little bit across the indentation where the frame sits, the Mobius cap sits. Now if I printed this in PLA, you wouldn't get any stringing because PLA doesn't string, and it's the easiest material to print with, and that's why most people start off with it, and it is the cheapest to print with. You'll find that as you start printing in different materials, the cost does go up, and you just need to tune your printer to allow for the different materials. Now tuning the printers, you need to have your heated bed at the right temperature and the extruder at the right rate. So that's looking fairly good. I'm just going to run the knife around inside the hole just to get any cobwebs out. So here now I'm just going to use a flat file now just to get the last remaining strings off. And I always, if you've got a flat file, just where the rubber band's going to sit here, just a little rub, and that just makes that nice and smooth. So just a little bit more in this one. And that's it, that's all the cleanup that's required. So, oh, missed a bit. So, most of the surfaces have fillets on so that it's smooth to the touch. The bottom area you can see there is shiny because that's been printed on a glass plate, and you may find that slightly sticky because I use a water soluble glue to make sure the print sticks to the build platform. So there we have it. So you'll find that the Mobius sits in there really nicely, and all you do to mount it, put the rubber band on, give it a twist, and just straighten out the rubber band. That was done too quickly. And there you are. That's your Mobius camera mounted on there. So that's going to be in the shop as of this afternoon. And any comments most welcome, because these are 3D printed. The design can be changed very, very easy. So if you see something that I've missed, please add a comment to the video, and if it's a worthwhile amendment, I will certainly change it, because these things are made for your, well, for me initially, because I don't like to use my camera, but for you guys as well. So yeah, tell me what you think. So